Hello, vinyl community. This is Mark from Westchester coming at you. And the reason I'm back on is because Dylan from Noble Records has a 750 subs contest. And he wants to know your vinyl bio in 5 questions. So, I've decided to do just that. So here's first question. The first memory of vinyl. Bingo. I was 3 years old when the Beatles came on the Ed Sullivan Show in February of 1964. My parents and I saw this. I was 3 years old. They didn't like rock and roll at all, but boy, they loved the Beatles, so guess what? They bought this album. And of course, that's my name written on the back there. It's quite a creative child. I didn't write that at the age of 3, but I listened to this album like crazy. I didn't know who Paul, I thought Paul was John and John was Paul. Wasn't quite sure. Oh well, I was just 3 years old. What do you want from me? So that brings us to the first LP that I fell in love with. Well, guess what? It was this, yes? And the next preceding albums I also was deeply in love with. They were all the Capitol releases in America, starting with the Beatles' second album, which was released in April of '64, and then coming in July. I mean, really, like, boom, boom, boom. A Hard Day's Night. Now, I did not see the movie. I was only 3 years old. And as you can see, I tried to tear the back off here because I saw, wow, what's this, like a secret code here? Oh, it says stereo. Yeah, I kind of ruined any chance of these things becoming worth something. They're very scratched up also. Something new came out, and I don't have something new at my beck and call here, but I didn't buy something new, or that my parents didn't buy something new. I bought it later, maybe 5 years later. It was the Please Please Me album in England and around the world, but of course Capitol Records, in their infinite wisdom, had to release albums differently than all around the world, and we all know why that was. Anyway, so yes, the last one of 1964 was the Beatles' '65. It was released in December of '64. Those albums were my best friends as a child. I was an only child. I grew up with this band. Music was like it. I started playing drums when I was a tyke, and then went to guitar when I was 7. And that brings me now to the album of greatest significance. Okay, so when I was 16, I was at a party, and I heard this album. Actually, I didn't hear the whole album. I heard a song called Cruise Control from the Dixie Dregs. And I didn't know who they were, but the radio announcer on WMMR said, these guys are going to be playing at Penn's Landing tomorrow. I went down, and that was it. That was the missing link for me. I decided I am going to be definitely going into music, and I went to Temple University, studied classical guitar, and then, okay, so this brings me then to the next question. The album spent most on. Well, after school, my girlfriend at the time, Jill Haley, and myself, we joined a folk singer, and then I got booted out of the group. Oh, poor me. And I started working with another guitar player, and then Jill heard what we were doing and said, I like that. And we started a group called One Alternative. Now, One Alternative has actually been in existence since 1983. And the album that I spent the most money on is this one. This is our last album put out last year, One Alternative's Twilight. And here that's Jill, and that's me, and that's James McLaughlin of the band The Sermon, that you must check out. Look up online, The Sermon with an exclamation point. He played on one of the cuts on this album. This thing cost 5 figures to make. This is the Gatefold, and the record was made in Plas, Germany, so we all know that it's high quality. The sound is, oh, by the way, you're listening to it right now. The sound is really nice. Very proud of it, and you can find out more about it if you wish. Go on my channel, and I go through every song on the album, talk to you about it, and it's available on Discogs and all over the internet, downloading, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so the last of the 5 questions is the ultimate grail. I think I found the ultimate grail. I'm a big, big, big Frank Zappa fan, and this is, I think, an ultimate grail. This is the first of 3 Old Masters box sets. I have all 3, and they cost a good chunk of change, but they're really chock full of stuff, and I'm going to show you what's in them. You get this nice little silver Zappa thingy, put up on your wall. It's all torn, but you know, hey, it's old. There's a little flyer, personally written. No, not actually. It's 818 Pumpkin. That was their phone number back in the day. You could order stuff from them. He was the first guy to have a mail order record company. Here is the Barking Pumpkin record label. I will tell you briefly a little story about the time that I met Frank Zappa. I was at, he came to Philadelphia in 1986. The Parent Music Resource Committee was having their big thing about rating lyrics, and he was going around to television stations all around the country and having debates with people and talking about it. And so I went down, saw him there with my friend Frank, who was in One Alternative at the time, and went out into the parking lot and saw that there was a limousine with a lot of people around. And I said, it's going to be where Frank is. So we went up, waited in line, got up to Frank, and I just pointed to my Barking Pumpkin t-shirt, which is purple. This is kind of pink, but it was a purple shirt. And I said, hi Frank, could you tell me what this cat is saying? I can see the pumpkin's barking, yes, arf. But what's the cat saying here? He said, holy shit, Japanese. Thank you, Frank. It's great to meet you. And that was it, man. I met Frank. Now, going back to the Masters box set, we have a wonderful booklet that's in this thing. I mean, it's just the neatest thing. I mean, it's pretty nifty. I miss all the pages I want you to see. There you go. Page. Anyway, it's got like 5, 6, 7 albums in it. I haven't counted. This is We're Only In It For The Money, which has the Sgt. Pepper's parody, and Freak Out as Freak Out, and Absolutely Free. Lumpy Gravy, which is an absolutely hilarious and superly creative piece of work. It's actually connected to the We're Only In It For The Money album. It's like the second take of that album. And Ruben and the Jets, which is like a doo-wop album. And then finally, the mystery disc. You want to know what's on the mystery disc? Well, there you go. So they put out 3 box sets, Barking Pumpkin did, and I got all 3, and I consider that a grail. So, okay, that's it. That's my entry to the contest. Dylan, I wish you all the best with Noble Records. And all I want to say to everybody is to remember that music is the best, as Frank said, Frank Zappa, and it will never let you down. So keep listening. Bye-bye.